I have to wait for it to show up.
Yeah, it should be there in a second.
No, that's probably okay.
In fact, I can hear it. There it is. Now it's up.
You can't hear the TV in the background, right?
Yes, we can.
Oh, you can. Okay.
LA Birders Productions presents.
Come again?
I don't hear it.
Oh, okay. Good.
Okay, we are now live.
We have 0 attendees.
That's because I have not started the webinar yet. And
Oh, okay, good.
I'm just start.
If it stays 0, I'll be a little more bold with my statements.
I just started the webinar, so people can now enter, and they are entering.
Okay, I'm going to try to get the live stream working, which didn't happen yet.
Oh, really?
Well, I don't have it on the website yet.
Oh, okay. Welcome, everyone, to Los Angeles Birders December webinar, Home for the Holidays. No, that isn't what we call it. I don't know what we call it. But let me get some music up. Oop. Do.
Okay, hopefully the live stream should be on the website now.
Okay, there we go. Whoops, I'm not hearing anything. Maybe I should start it. Can you hear that?
I can hear that.
Yep.
All right.
You're sharing your screen, Ron, too.
Okay. Let me see. Anything incriminating?
Not yet.
Never funky drummer boy.
That's exactly what it's called. It's called Funky Drummer Boy.
Yeah, but we're seeing the my music and not seeing the picture.
Oh. We can't, oh shit. Oh, I'm shoot, I mean.
Whoa, it's skipping.
Okay, I don't think I can share music and picture because I didn't hitch them up together. I didn't think of that. Darn.
Okay.
Oh well.
And the music is still a bit on the loud side too.
Okay. That's quieter, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, enough of the music though.
It's better than jokes.
Oh, jokes!
Oh, thank you for
thank you, Kimball.
Now you've done it.
Okay. Boy, we have too much to do. Okay. I'm going to stop my share and actually put up a slide. If I...
Okay, that'll probably stop your music too.
Yeah, I know. What do you do? No. Do you still hear the music?
Nope.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it stopped
Nope.
sharing. All right. Enough of that. And I have a share somewhere here. And I appreciate everyone's patience while we fumble around. Welcome to the Los Angeles Birders December webinar, Mark, say something pithy while I look for
Something
the...
pithy. What are you looking for?
I need
Well,
to... Go ahead.
today is a bird quiz where we have three experts that will serve as a panel, and I will show photos and play some sounds, and you, as the audience, will get a chance to vote on the identification of the photos and sounds, and then the experts will weigh in about why these different birds are what they are.
Exactly. And let's go up here. Oh, shoot. There we go. Okay. Now let me...
And that's our fourth expert, Julian.
Okay, and here, let me share this. And there we go. You guys see that?
There we go. Yes.
Okay. Well, once again, welcome to the December program or webinar of the Los Angeles Birders. My name is Ron Siger. I am happy to be here tonight to help introduce this. It's going to be a very, very fun evening tonight. A few housekeeping things. We do have our housekeeping slide up tonight. Tonight's photos and sounds bird identification quiz will begin soon, of course. To let you know what Los Angeles Birders is, we are a nonprofit, all-volunteer, public benefit organization working cooperatively to provide a variety of bird and birding-related programming and activities to birders interested in birds and science, and birding and science. And we just started membership. Membership in Los Angeles Birders is either 1 year or life. And if you feel if you feel as if you would like to help support these webinars, we can really use your help and your support. Everything, of course, costs money, from the webinars to the insurance to etc. And we can certainly, we would love to have you join LA Birders. I did want to go over what we're doing tonight. Tonight is a photo/sound identity. We will be going through putting up a photo. Mark, do you want to talk about this, or should I say?
Sure, I could say it. I
Okay, go ahead.
already mentioned a little bit, but there are more people coming in.
Yeah.
So I will put up a photo or play a sound with the sonogram of some bird, and you as the audience will get a chance to vote. Ron will put up a poll with multiple choice that you can choose which bird you think it is. None of the above is going to be an answer on all of them. So your bird that you think it is might actually not be in the list. And then after the poll is closed, our three expert panelists will discuss the ID of the bird and why it is what it is, and how you can tell it from similar species and so forth. Mm-hmm. And then we will look at the results of the poll and see how well the crowdsourcing went.
And so anyone who's on the Zoom will have access to the poll and be able to answer the poll. You'll have 15 seconds to actually go through the poll, and you'll know when the 15 seconds are up.
And so wait, hold on. Kimball mentioned, which I should have mentioned, that the panelists have not seen or heard the bird photos or sounds ahead of time.
Yes, so they will actually be as befuddled as everyone else. depending on how good or bad the photos and sound recordings are. So as I was saying, if you're on Zoom, you will have access to the poll and be able to answer the poll. If you're on our live stream, unfortunately, you will not have access to the poll. I don't think you will see it. And if you see it, you certainly won't be able to answer it. But it'll still be a lot of fun, I'm sure. We incur, where was I? Oh, if you have any questions for the panelists for that specific bird, put it in the Q&A and we'll try to get to it. If we catch it, we'll probably catch it. So we can actually go through it while we're on that bird. If you have a comment of some sort, like wonderful, like more bird jokes or other comments like that, then you can put that into the chat and we'll try and catch that as well. And is there anything I missed, Mark?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. In that case, let me stop my screen share.
And let me start.
Oh, and one more thing.
My screen
You
share.
can, up in your right-hand corner, if you're on a PC or Mac, you should have a view button. You can hit the view and choose between gallery, or you can choose the level of viewing that you have of the speakers. You might want to keep on gallery since the speakers tend to talk over themselves a lot. Yeah, that's just the way they are. Everyone's anxious. Oh, and one more thing. Mark.
Yes.
What did the Mallard do when someone threw a rock at him?
Ducked.
Exactly. With that, I think we're ready to go.
Okay. Well, thank you, Ron. And let us start with our first quiz
Wait, we
bird.
have introductions.
Whoa. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Frank.
And with that, I'd like to introduce Susan Gilliland, who will introduce our panelists.
Thank you, Ron and Mark. Well, our panel of experts tonight is very impressive. So let's start with the oldest. I mean, the best, and we'll start at the top with Kimball Garrett. Yes, the one waving. Kimball started birding when he was just a boy right here in Los Angeles, and he's never looked back. Today, Kimball is the ornithology collection manager at the Los Angeles Natural History Museum, is one of Southern California's most accomplished birders, and is the leading authority on the birds of Los Angeles County. Kimball has written so many numerous publications. Jon Feenstra, if you could give yourself a wave there instead of drinking, there you go, started birding at a young age in New Jersey. In high school, a teacher took Jon and his class on a birding trip to southeastern Arizona, and that was pretty much it. Birds were Jon's passion. And lucky for us, he moved to Southern California to earn his PhD in physical chemistry at Caltech. And he also became active in Southern California birding, leading field trips, writing articles on bird distribution and local issues, and exploring the many bird-rich areas. After graduating, Jon eventually decided to forego the academic world and make birding his full-time career. Today, Jon works as a freelance ecological consultant, and in non-COVID times, Jon travels the world as a tour leader for Wings, and I can personally recommend him as very knowledgeable and fun trip leader. Tonight, Jon will be assisted by his 2-year-old son, Julian. Hey, Julian, there you are, who has already racked up some pretty impressive, hey, Julian, pretty impressive bird sightings and is working on his life list. Dessi Sieburth started birding at age 8. Desi's story begins with building a bird feeder, adding some seeds, and when the birds showed up, needing to identify them. He got Kimball and John Dunn's book, Birds of the Los Angeles Region, and started identifying the birds in his yard. It wasn't long before Dessi became an avid birder, birding every chance he got and then some. Soon he was building nest boxes for western bluebirds and conducting weekly surveys during the nesting season. His passion and dedication for birds and conservation allowed him opportunities to collaborate with leading ornithologists, and before Dessi graduated from high school, he had already published several articles in peer-reviewed scientific journals, including the Auk and Western Birds. Today, Dessi is a freshman at Stanford University and plans to pursue ornithology as a career. Watch out, Kimball. Finally, we're pleased to share that Kimball, Jon, and Dessi are all valued board members of Los Angeles Birders.org. So without further ado, I'll turn it over to our Master of Ceremonies, also known as one of the pair of the lab's joke masters, Mark Scheel.
Well, thank you very much, Susan. Let us start with the quizzes. So here's bird one. This was taken in late May in Los Angeles County. And this is photo one. And Ron, you can put up a poll for this one. And we will,
Nurit was actually asking how, I think everyone's kind of figuring it out. Go ahead and answer, and you have 15 seconds, Mark.
Yes.
Whoop.
And so the possible answers are tree swallow, white-throated swift, Vox's swift, barn swallow, black swift, mallard, and none of the above. Okay.
And the polling is closed. So
who
ahead,
wants to take it? Dessi?
Yeah, so here we can see a bird flapping up in the air. It's got a pretty small head, pretty thin and pointed wings. And overall, just kind of like almost like a flying saucer, or the body can be kind of looked at as a cigar. So that kind of puts it in the category of swallows and swifts. And probably the best way to differentiate between swallows and swifts is the shape of the wings. Swallows are more broad-winged and flap slowly, while swifts are very thin-winged, very thin, stiff, very stiff wing beats, and very fast wing beats. This bird's wings are very thin and pointed, as well as swallows wouldn't really have this kind of fan-shaped tail. Swallows either have a forked tail or kind of a square tail. So this is a swift, and we get two swifts in Los Angeles County regularly, white-throated and Voxes, with black and chimney being rarer. White-throated, I can eliminate white-throated. White-throateds have a very pointed tail, not very spread out like this bird. If there were any color in the photo, a white-throated swift does have a white throat. So now we're between Voxes and black, and differentiating these without seeing them in the field is actually pretty tough. They're both all dark. Voxes is much smaller than a black swift, but I can't really imagine a black swift having this very fan-shaped tail. They have a very square, kind of a long square tail.
I can't believe that Jon and Kimball are letting poor Dessi hang out there like this.
Jon, Kimball, do you want to?
I mean, I'll jump in real quick in that, when we were dealing with a photo of a bird in the sky with no color, so we don't have the luxury of saying like, oh, is it white below, is it brown below, is it black? It's just a dark bird up against the sky. When we got to the swifts, the white-throated swift, Vox's swift, and black swift are three different genera of swifts. And the white-throated swift, the Aeronautes, long, fork tail, which we're not seeing, so pretty much eliminate that. Black swift, I think it's still a Cypseloides. That's big, compared to a Vox's swift, and also has sort of a fork tail, but when it's spread out like this, could be difficult. The chimney swift and Vox's swift, the Chatura swifts, are they often show this little like indentation from the primaries to the secondaries, which I don't see as often when I'm watching Cypseloides swifts fly around. So I would say this is probably a Chatura swift and therefore probably Vox's swift, but I guess it could be a chimney swift. Late May, on the edge. Although Chatura swifts usually show like little spurs off the ends of the tail feathers that are used for grasping when they're hanging on the insides of chimneys or hollow trees or something. I don't see that here. I'd still think this is probably Vox's swift, but
Kimball?
I will just, the wisdom that I can add is I don't know what the bird is. My first gut impression was white-throated swift, but the problem is, of course, I see we're getting some hints here. The problem is with a single photo, it's really hard to judge shape. I don't know if we're looking up at the bird or down, other than you're usually looking up at a swift and not down. My impression of the tail feathers was they seemed a better. Okay. So I don't see any white on it, but that's not unusual for a white-throated swift. I've seen lots of people say, what's that all dark swift? And it turns out to be a white-throated swift because of the lighting. I look at those tail feathers and it looks more like a white-throated to me, just because of the lack of spines on the tips of the feathers, which of course could just be that you can't see them in the photo. And also I'm trying to imagine that tail folded up, and I would have thought it would look kind of forked, but on the other hand, the wings don't look particularly long like a white-throated. So I just, my overarching conclusion is I would like to have a better view. How's that?
That's always a good conclusion, is to have a better view.
So
Yeah.
this one's really on the photographer, one Ron Seiger.
I could not agree more.
So
well, it's got a Seiger body shape.
It does have a very Seiger
that's
body
a cigar.
shape.
All I can say is I do like to smoke cigars.
Yes. And
Mark,
sometimes
do you have
cigar is
another
just a cigar.
Do you have another
This is
photo?
a white-throated swift. And I do have another photo. I took the same photo and I
here,
artificially brightened it a lot.
whoops. There are the results.
And when you artificially brighten it, you can indeed see the white throat and the white along the middle of the belly.
All right.
Yeah.
And yes, this one was really difficult because of the tail being fanned and not looking as forked as it would if it were straight. Okay, so we had
Cool.
Not a mallard. Right.
No,
we had-
but it
yeah,
wasn't
we
a
had-
mallard.
we
And no one
actually had-
voted.
Zero people said Mallard. The top choice was Vox's Swift, and White-throated Swift was actually number 3. Second was Tree Swallow, and there were some votes for Black Swift.
Yes.
So yes, this was a very tricky, basically because of the tail and because of the backlighting.
Okay.
Okay.
And
So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to a sound.
sound 1, Mark.
Sound 1.
Okay. I'm gonna launch the polling.
Launch the polling. So let me just play sound 1. So sound 1, this is in June in the San Gabriel Mountains at dusk. Was everybody able to hear the sound?
Why don't you play it one more time?
I could play it one more time. All right, so the poll is up. I'm going to give 15 seconds.
The
or
15
so.
second.
And the choices are Cooper's Hawk, Acorn Woodpecker, Sharp-shinned Hawk, Western Screech Owl, Northern Pygmy Owl, Mallard, and none of the above.
And with that, we are ending the polling and turning to our experts.
I'm going to start this off only by admitting that we had a practice session last night just to make sure it was working. And two of us actually heard this, so we're not new to this particular one, but I think it's safe to say we both got it correct last night anyway. So I can either talk about it, or we can let Dessi, who was not practicing last night, go, but only if he wants to. If you don't want to, I'm happy to go through my thought process.
Yeah, same here.
What do you say?
I can start with the ones we can eliminate, and then I'll narrow it down to a few
Okay,
species, and you
that's
can take it from there. So first of all, mallard, I think, is out of the question. Mallards go quack. Well, this is more of a bark. And acorn woodpecker, I don't think this is an acorn woodpecker. It's kind of this is more of a bark. Well, acorn woodpeckers do have a shortened note compared to the usual kind of laughing sound, but it's upslurred and a lot more drawn out than this. Based on the fact that this is June in the San Gabriel Mountains, we can eliminate sharp-shinned hawk, which are only winter visitors here. Though with a few sightings in summer in the San Gabriels that indicate they could be breeding, but very rare up there. So yeah, I'll pass it on to one of you now.
You didn't say how you eliminated none of the above, but that's okay. So it is dusk, and it wouldn't be impossible for a Cooper's hawk to call it dusk. Coopers can give kind of a barking sound, but it doesn't sound just like that to me. So we really focused on the owls. And I don't know the full vocal repertoire of northern pygmy owl very well, but I know that screech owls, western screech owls, give quite a variety of calls, some of which are barking and squirrel-like, in addition to the bouncing ball song that we're used to hearing. So I just, without being super familiar with this call, I took this to be a western screech owl. And I think Jon agreed last night.
Yeah, as did I. Screech owls, especially when there are young about, and like around post-breeding dispersal, a lot of these contact calls are very more reminiscent of a squirrel to me than they are of an owl. And so often the first thing I think about when I hear that, and I actually heard that sound in my yard a few times, is that it's some weird, almost like a mammal sound, but it's a western screech owl.
Great. Let me share the results, and 42% of our listeners agree.
Agree with, and it is indeed a western screech owl that was up in the San Gabriels that recorded the same night as a spotted owl was at Camp High Hill. It was a screech owl that was doing this just as it started to get dark. Okay. So now let's go to photo 2, which I will now share. It was in LA County in early October. And I will give people 15 seconds to fill out their poll. So we have house finch, purple finch, Cassin's finch, brown-headed cowbird, mallard, or none of the above.
And with that, we'll end the polling. And I think it was Desi's turn, wasn't it?
Oh, poor Dessi always has to go first. You don't have to go first, Dessi.
All right. I mean, I'll bungle around on this one. It's a thick-billed seed eater kind of thing, a sparrow finch, something like that. And what I'm noticing about this one is that in addition to having a big fat seed eater kind of bill, it's got a lot of white on the front with some bold streaking, and then I see some white in the wings as well. in the coverts, and there's not a whole lot of stuff that has exactly that. Certainly not our regular things. Like a house finch would be a really good really good guess. If I could cover up some of the bird, be like, oh, it's probably just a house finch. But with showing that kind of white on the underparts, and then again on the wing, really jumps out as something that's not like any of our finches or sparrows. So I think this is a lark bunting.
Any other comments?
Let me just point out that 3 of the choices were Hemorrhoeus finches, house cassins in purple. Notice the very long tertials, and you can virtually not see any primary projection beyond them, or very, very little. That's something we see a lot in open country grassland birds. And it's very different from the Hemorrhoeus finches, especially Cassin's finch, which has extremely long primary projection. So that shape character right away rules them out and gets us more into the sparrow family. And among our sparrows, this honking, thick, blue-gray colored bill is really pretty unique to, well, very few species have that bluish color. Black-throated is one, but that's typical of a lark bunting, that big blue-gray bill. So I certainly agree with John's identification. And John Dunn in the chat wanted to know what's the sex of the bird, what day of the week was it photographed, and at exactly what elevation and where. He didn't quite go that. He didn't go that far, but I'm not going to launch into sexing and aging lark buntings other than it's not showing remnants of adult male plumage. So if somebody wants to tackle that, please do.
I think
anyway, it's a
dry,
basic plumage, none of the above.
Dried brome grass stalks in the foreground.
And Dessi, did you want to add anything?
No, I think you guys nailed it.
All right. And let me share.
Right.
Let me share the results.
It is a lark bunting.
Cool.
And this was one that Andy Birch found up at the Toyon landfill, I think last year.
And 40% of the listening public out there agree that it's none of the above.
None of the above. Nobody picked Mallard again, and the other.
Go figure.
Yeah, the other ones were about evenly split.
Yep.
Lark
yep.
bunting.
Cool. Okay.
Okay. So let me do another sound. So this is going to be. Second, I have to get my.
Curtis put down that it was a female Tuesday at 3,500 feet, and I think he's right.
No, that's too high. Unless it's a big landfill.
No, this was not that high. Okay. So here's the next sound.
Sound 2.
Sound 2.
Okay.
And this is sound 2. This was recorded by Lance Benner in the San Gabriel's higher elevation bird in May. So let me play it. Stop the recording there.
Lance obviously recorded this next to a freeway.
No, there's just some wind. Wind happens when you're recording stuff. Okay, so we'll so the poll is up, and we will have your 15 seconds. So the possible answers are Townsend solitaire, Cassin's finch, purple finch, warbling vireo, mallard, none of the above.
And before I end the polling, put your last votes in, and I just want to let you know we had some votes for Mallard. Okay.
Who wants to take this one out?
I think it was
Well, let me start off. Oh, Desi again? Desi,
yeah,
you
I
want to
think it
go
was
first? Go
Desi's
ahead.
turn again.
Okay,
All right.
That's fine.
sure.
Okay, so here we have a very bubbly, fast-paced song. A lot of clear and buzzy notes in it. Warbling vireo can be eliminated just based on the fastness of the song. Warbling vireo song is very spaced out. Every note's defined, which is not what this is. Purple Finch is also pretty similar to Warbling vireo. Slower than this song, I'd say. And also Purple Finch song is generally shorter than this song. This is a very long song. Mallard, I don't think this is what this is either. And to be honest, I don't hear enough solitaires to really know fully what sounds they can make, but I think this is a Cassin's Finch. It's very fast paced and longer than a Purple Finch song, which is what Cassin's Finch song kind of is. So that's what I'm saying, but it could be a solitaire. I just don't hear them enough to really know exactly.
Well, it's interesting that you waver. I agree with you. I think it's a Cassin's Finch. It's interesting you waver between those two because I find their songs sometimes very similar to one another. There's a flutiness to the musical quality of a Cassin's Finch song that you don't normally hear in the other Hemerois finches like Purple. But of course, Townsend's is Solitaire has a very fluty song as well. This seems to have just the pacing of the song to me sounds more like a Cassin's Finch. It's quicker. It's got some fluty notes. It seems to have a few little imitated notes in. There's a lot of vocal appropriation in Cassin's Finch songs. Solitaires to me are very fluty. They often give that song in flight. Maybe a little slower usually, sometimes almost suggestive of black-headed grosbeak. So yeah, just the pace of this song and that quick up and down musicality certainly sounds right for Cassin's Finch to me.
I don't think I have much to add except that I think it was the middle phrase of that song at the end. There was one of those like sort of a little fluty slur thing that reminds me that was I think part of the Cassin's Finch call. So that seems to fit.
Cool, very cool. Let me share the results, and the majority, or not the majority, but 38% of everyone agrees that it's a Cassin's Finch.
And indeed, it was a Cassin's Finch. Great job, everybody. We did have a few votes from
Good
Mallard.
job. Yeah, we even had a few votes from Mallard,
Right.
so that's great.
Okay. Let us do the next photo.
Which is this? This is photo 3.
This is photo 3.
Okay.
Photo 3. Here we go.
Okay, and the poll is up.
Poll is up. The choices are Rufus Hummingbird, Allen's Hummingbird, Anna's Hummingbird, Calliope Hummingbird, Black-chinned Hummingbird, Mallard, and none of the above.
And get your final votes in. I can't believe no one's choosing Mallard. And the polling is closed.
Okay, who wants to go?
I think it was Desi's turn this time.
I'll leave this one to someone else.
I mean, I'll take a whack at it. It's a hummingbird, so Mallard be eliminated because they rarely spend a lot of time in flowers and feeding in flight. It's a female hummingbird. lacking the bold red or black or purple or other gorget marks that the black-chinned or calliope or rufous, and it's not an adult male rufous hummingbird. It's got buffy flanks and it's fairly white below. Without seeing the bill, we don't get a lot of bill shape information. Calliope hummingbird versus a black-chinned hummingbird, the bill length is quite a bit different. But Calliope hummingbird also is a very small hummingbird with a very short tail. So looking at this, it's hard to say based on the angle if this is a particularly short-tailed bird or not. But with kind of buffy flanks and what looks to me like a short tail, I would say this is probably a female Calliope hummingbird. But maybe I'm wrong. Anyway, somebody else tell me.
No, I think you're right. That's certainly what I honed in on right away, which is unusual for me for female hummingbirds. I think that kind of pinkish tone, which is just a wash, not very deep color on the sides and flanks, is distinct. The tail looks, again, you got to be careful from angle, but the tail looks very short to me. I'm guessing the bill's short too, but I don't know. But that lightly spotted throat, and the other thing is there's a really distinct little white mark right in front of the eye that is kind of unique to female Calliope hummingbirds. So the head pattern, that pinkish wash on the sides and flanks and the short tail just sort of scream Calliope to me.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Calliope. I would also think Owens and Rufus would have more rufus on the tail. I'm not seeing any really rufus on the tail on this bird. It could just be because it's not fanned out. And if you were to see the entire throat, as Kimball mentioned, there are kind of like thin lines of very small spots extending throughout the throat. There's a concentrated patch of spots in the center of the throat of a rufus or an Allen's, say. So yeah, that's pretty much all I have to add.
Cool. Let me share the results.
So this was indeed a female Calliope hummingbird.
Yeah, and 50% of everyone agrees with our panel.
And
way to go.
Can I just say, in response to a couple of questions, can I just say that you can, these screens like the pole, you can grab at the top and just move it aside using your mouse if it's covering up the photo. So some people are saying they can't see the photo because of the pole screen. All you have to do is grab it. You don't want to minimize it when you're voting because you want to vote, but just grab it and move it. It works just fine.
Right. Okay. So stop the sharing on that one and
fantastic. So Calliope hummingbird. So now let me go to sound number 3.
You ready? Okay.
I am. Well, let's play it before you put the poll.
Oh.
But it doesn't matter. You could.
Well, that's okay. I think. Go ahead.
Okay, so here's sound number 3. This is in Lowland, LA County in July. And play that again.
Okay.
Before you put up the poll, if people have an idea of what this is, maybe stick it in the chat. I wanted to experiment with this one.
Okay. And
see if I get anything in the chat.
But there's I don't think
I'm seeing some stuff in the chat, but not many to panelists, so maybe we should just go with the poll.
Yeah, let me put the poll up. Okay. Okay, and here's the poll.
And so your choices are Western Kingbird, Cooper's Hawk, Say's Phoebe, American Goldfinch, Mallard, or none of the above.
All right, and the polling is closing. Get your last. I still see a few votes coming in, and that's going to be it. Okay.
Who wants to take this?
Well, let me start.
Oh,
Just-
okay.
Just to relieve Dessi of having to start.
I'm
I
sure
think most
Dessi
people are
thinks
getting most people are getting this right, just from the chat. This is a Cooper's Hawk vocalization, and they can give a down slurred call that to me sounds very similar to sapsucker calls. Those are adult birds, or well, maybe juveniles, but that's not what this call is. And of course, you wouldn't worry about sapsucker in June in the LA lowlands anyway. But this high-pitched, drawn-out call, I presume, are fledglings or young juveniles, and it's pretty distinctive and kind of, they can give a lot of not very raptor-like sounds, and this is one. Because Cooper's is such an abundant bird now in the urban lowlands, this is a sound that's probably familiar to a lot of people.
I don't have that much to add other than before seeing the poll, figured it was some kind of a juvenile raptor sound. If somebody said that it was some other kind of juvenile, if Cooper's Hawk weren't on there and some other small juvenile raptor maybe were, I would have maybe gone that way. But it is Cooper's Hawk at the near a nest site is right on.
Anything to?
Dessi, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, the other choices seem to be flycatchers and American Goldfinch, which do not give a piercing call anything like this. So just based on the poll.
That's Cooper's Hawk food.
Just based on
Okay.
the poll.
Well, indeed, this was a juvenile Cooper's Hawk, and there are actually two of them that were already out of the nest and chasing each other around at Village Green a few years ago.
All right.
And we had Cooper's
Let
Hawk
me
was
just mention, I see
38%.
that, yes.
Go ahead,
Say's
Kimball.
Phoebe got an equal number of votes. Say's Phoebe has a much more mellow, down-slurred note. This one is very sharp and loud and angry. The Say's has a more mellow whistle, but the pattern is somewhat similar, that descending whistle.
Great. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing the results on that poll,
Okay,
and we can move on to the next.
the next photo. So this is going
And
to be,
it's 7:45, Mark.
okay, well, let's do this one. This is photo 4. So
Okay.
this must be photo 4.
All right.
Here's
Should
photo
I go
4.
ahead and launch the poll?
Sure, go ahead and launch the poll.
Okay. And here are your possibilities.
And the possibilities are
Your possible.
Pacific loon, red-throated loon, common murre, Strips's murrelet, Crevary's murrelet, mallard, none of the above. Very long, lanky bird.
And the votes are coming in. I see that some people are too chicken to vote. We don't have chicken. We do have mallard, though. Oh, good. We got a vote for mallard.
It's swimming.
It's swimming. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. And I think it was Desi's turn, wasn't it?
I can do this one.
Okay,
All right.
So I know very few birds that look this lengthy. I mean, it has a very tiny head and a body about maybe 5 times the size of the head. So I think the real reason is that there are 2 birds in this photo.
Ah,
One of them is hidden by a wave, and the body just kind of blends into the head of the next one. So yeah, here we have 2 small birds on the water with a pretty small, thin bill. Bill is pretty short, with black upper parts and entirely white underparts. This puts it in the category of murrelets. A common murre and loons would have a much larger bill than this. And we get 3 species of murrelet regularly here: Scripses, Crevaries, and Guadalupe. And Guadalupe has white wrapping up around the eye. There's a little white spot in front of the eye, but it's not connected to the white on the throat. So this is not a Guadalupe. So that leaves us between Scripses and Crevaries. And the best way to do this is to see them fly. Scripses have white underwings, while Crevaries have brown underwings. But on the water, I think the best way to tell these 2 species apart is the white extends higher up. The white on the throat extends higher up on the face in the Scripses than on the Crevaries, almost creating a little white spot between the eye and the bill. I'm not seeing any of this. And also the tail being cocked up at a 45-degree angle. Crevaries often do that, though I'm not sure a Scripps couldn't do that. But it's definitely a behavior more often seen in Crevaries. And maybe there's a little brownish tinge to the back on this bird, which is good for Crevaries. So I'd say this is a Crevaries.
Yeah, I agree. There's a little bit of black that comes under very limited black feathering just at the base of the bill. That behavior of keeping the tail cocked up, I heard it described once as like a sora. And so often at a distance, a pair of murrelets on the water with their tails cocked up like that is like, oh, it's probably, not certain, but pretty good shot that it's probably a Crevaries murrelet. So I agree.
So the bill of Crevaries is a bit longer than of Scripses or Guadalupe, and this is kind of long bill. But one thing that's distinctive to me, and I see a lot of this is popping up in the chat as well, is the white chin and then the dark in front of the eye and the laurel area. All Scripses murrelets have a little, I can't point to it, but there's a little uptick of white between the eye and the bill. It doesn't go all the way up over the eye like it would in Guadalupe, but you wouldn't have this even black line between the face and the chin in a Scripses, but this is very typical of Crevaries.
okay. Well, thank you, everybody. This is indeed a Crevaries murrelet, and actually there are 2 of them. And this is a photo taken, very shortly afterwards, where you could see the second one actually pop up and not make a Loch Ness monster sort of shape. And on the poll, Scripps' murrelet was actually the #1 at 29%, with Crevaries very closely behind at 27%, and common myrrh was the next.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that we actually did get a vote for Mallard, so that's good.
And
thank you very much.
There was a vote for Mallard.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I would like to go, since we're running out of time, I'd like to go to sound 5.
Okay. Got it.
I'm going to try to get.
And tell me when I should launch the poll.
Let's do that after we play the sound.
Okay.
So this is in the San Gabriels again. In late April, this is a recording by Lance Benner. put up the poll.
And here's the poll.
And the possible answers are green-tailed towhee, lazuli bunting, fox sparrow, bell sparrow, mallard, none of the above. Who wants to take this?
Okay, and with that, I'll end the polling. Yeah. Okay. I think it was Desi's turn, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it usually is, yes. But
Okay, maybe John should go.
All right. The presence of the buzzy sounds in it jumps out to me as some kind of sparrow sort of bird. Not the standard quack of a mallard, and not the not the repeated phrases of a lazuli bunting. And there are there's a pair of birds that are up in the St. Gabriel's that they sound pretty similar to each other, and I very well might get this wrong because they often I'm very frequently confused between the two of these, and that is our local fox sparrow, which is the thick-billed fox sparrow, and green-tailed towhee. And these are birds that are singing in the springtime and the summer, up above about 6,000 feet or so, often in the whitethorn, and they have some little slurred phrases and buzzes and things like that in the songs, and I'm hearing that in this, so I think it's one of the two of those. Green-tailed towhee to me has fewer like long cleared slurs and more buzzes like this song. So I think this is a green-tailed towhee and not a thick-billed fox sparrow. But I do occasionally get those things messed up when I'm actually up there looking around and have to track down the bird on occasion. But I think this one's a green-tailed towhee.
I'm sorry, did Julian have a opinion also? I think I heard him in the background.
I think his earphones were slipping off from the distraction device.
Okay. So I went through kind of the same thought process. I hear these all the time up there. When you do breeding bird surveys, it's lots of fun to sort them out. I'm sure Lance has fun with that. But yeah, if it's mostly buzzes instead of clear whistles, I think green-tailed towhee. The other thing is it's almost impossible to hear one of our thick-billed fox sparrows singing up there in the local mountains without hearing at least some mimicry in the song, whether it's olive-sided flycatcher, or western bluebird, or hairy woodpecker, or a few other things. They always seem to work, almost always seem to work into the song. So this one's got some clear notes. It's not a quintessential buzzy green-tailed towhee song, but it still sounds more like a green-tailed towhee to me than a fox sparrow.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add. I agree with the towhee.
Okay,
All
let
right.
me share the results.
So this is indeed a green-tailed towhee that Lance recorded, and green-tailed towhee was the top pick for 39%. Lazuli bunting came in, and none of the above came in above fox sparrow. And yes, there were 2 votes for mallard.
All right.
So I did have one request, which was to play the song again after.
Oh, okay.
So let me do that very quickly. Okay.
All right,
So
thank you.
green-tailed towhee. So let's go to photo 6.
Okay.
We're running out of time. I want to skip
Yeah,
to that one.
got it.
That's okay.
Okay. Should I launch the poll?
Well, let's put up the photo first. Here's photo 6. Inland LA County in late September. And go ahead.
Okay, here's the poll.
Okay. So your choices are Western Gull, Lesser Blackback Gull, California Gull, Spearman skull, Savin skull, Mallard, or none of the above.
You don't have headless skull on there.
I don't have headless skull on there.
Okay, so we're still getting a lot of people putting their vote in. Okay, and another few more seconds and we'll close the polling. And now it's slowing down and we'll close the polling now. Okay. And for the final photo, I think it was Desi's turn.
I think Kimball can get this one.
Go.
I'm as a member of California Field Ornithologists from the beginning, which became Western Field Ornithologists. I should know this bird, as should all of you, I would hope. All of the gulls in the poll occur in inland LA County, only one of them commonly, which is California gull. But this bird has no patterning that would come close to matching California or any of those other choices. So black outer primaries, a lot of white in the inner part of the wing, which is just barely visible beyond the coverts. You can almost imagine you have a very forked tail here with a black tip. The wash of gray all the way around the neck. I won't even talk about bill color and shape. So this clearly is a Sabin's gull, and it's a juvenile, as you can see from the brown coverts with white fringes on it, and of course the black tail tip. And it's a virtually regular or annual bird in fall in inland LA County, although very rare. But yeah, hard to do much with the shape of the bird, the distinctive flight pattern with bill shape or anything else. But fortunately, this is one gull that is distinct enough that even in this angle, it should be identifiable.
John, you probably disagree with that, don't you?
Oh yeah, no, it's way off. No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, interestingly, Sabin skull. If you're not on a boat, the best place to see them in the county is in the end of September at the Paiute Ponds or Lancaster Sewage Ponds. And if this thing throws out its wings, it shows a very distinct white triangle across the trailing edge. The primaries and secondaries are really really distinctive distinctive color pattern in this bird.
Desi, did you have anything to add?
Yeah, this is one of the most distinctive birds in flight, with that really tricolored wing, all consisting of triangles, a brown triangle, a white triangle, and a black triangle. So if you see it in flight, they're pretty much unmistakable.
Okay, and here are the polling results. And once again, I'm very impressed with our webinar viewers.
This is indeed a Sabin skull. It's a juvenile. Here's another photo of the same bird so you can see its head. Wings.
You're not coming through, Mark.
I'm not coming through. Coming through now.
Okay, yeah, it is a Sabin skull with 44% of everyone agreeing, 20 votes, which is pretty good. I'm
still coming through.
Oh, now you're coming through. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, must have been an internet glitch.
Yeah.
This is a Sabin skull. This is one that was at Peck. I always call it Peck Pit, but it's Peck something or other.
Water
Conservation
Park.
Peck Road Water Conservation Park.
Ah, that's it. Okay, so I'm going to stop the share. And
okay.
I think...
So it is 8 p.m. Should probably stop. Even though, of course, there are more, but...
I guess we'll be saving them for next year because...
We could save them. Yeah, exactly. We could save more for next year. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and I'd especially like to thank our three expert panelists for their wisdom and
Encore.
Want an encore? You want an encore? Okay.
Yeah, you all can keep going.
One
That's
more.
fine.
We could do maybe let's do one sound.
Oh,
One
okay.
encore, we could
So
do
we're
one.
doing a sound.
Let's do
Okay.
sound. Let's do sound.
I'm sorry. Say it again, Mark. You
Sound
dropped out.
6.
Sound 6. Okay.
Sound 6. And then I can thank everybody again after all of it. Sound 6. Here.
Okay.
Sound
Go ahead
6.
and hit it.
So this was in March, and this was at in mid-elevation LA County in March, recorded by Lance Bennett. Not the kinglet.
Okay, and here's the poll. And for our last 15-second interlude.
So our choices are Cassin's Vireo, Hutton's Vireo, Gray Vireo, Lucas Vireo, Purple Finch, Mallard, none of the above.
All right, and get your last votes in. And polling is now closed. Still some coming in. Okay, polling is now closed. And for the last one, I think we should start with Dessi this time.
Because we haven't started with Dessi at all.
All right. So your choices for that one were Vireos and Purple Finch. Let's see what Vireos were listed. Yeah, Hutton's Vireo can be eliminated. They have pretty fast-paced notes. Generally kind of one note downslurred, not as downslurred as these, not as burry as these, a bit more clear. Gray Vireo, I think, is quite a bit faster than this, and also not as burry and downslurred as this. So the solitary vireos, which consists of Cassins and Plumbeus in the county, definitely do make sounds like this, very burry, downslurred notes and short phrases at evenly spaced intervals. But I think this is these notes are a bit too far apart for a solitary vireo. The song is usually quite a bit faster, sometimes consisting of kind of three downslurred notes, and this is kind of just two, one upslurred and one downslurred. I think this is a Purple Finch. Purple Finches are notorious for giving songs that sound exactly like solitary vireos. But yeah, usually they're a bit slower, maybe even a bit more downslurred than a solitary vireo would be. So I think this is a Purple Finch, but I'm open to the fact that it could be a solitary vireo.
I'm a bit confused because I'm hearing 2 or 3 species singing in this recording.
Right.
They kind of overlap a lot.
Yeah, there's a kinglet in there.
There's a kinglet in there.
Yes.
And
So, right, there's a bunch of
Vireo
stuff. Right. Yeah.
So that,
What I'm not hearing anything to me that sounds like a Purple Finch. Sorry to say, Dessi, although I could well be wrong. To me, it sounds like one of the solitary vireos, which would be Cassins or Plumbeus, either of which could occur in LA County in March in mid-elevation. Cassins, if it's late enough in March, probably more numerous. The latest Western Birds has an excellent paper by Ed Pandolfino, which essentially concludes that Cassins and Plumbeus vireos cannot be distinguished by song, even though there's some average differences in midpoint of frequency, with essentially Cassins being a bit higher pitched. As I think Curtis noted in the chat, the rate of which vireos sing really depends on how pissed off they are or what kind of mood they're in. It could be slower or faster, so that can be confusing at least. So again, I don't know, but I would call this Cassin's or Plumbeous vireo, and just based on probability, maybe Cassin's is more likely, but the point is that two are perhaps not distinguishable by song alone. And again, read the latest Western Birds for that. John,
Yeah.
it's up to you.
I can't really add too much because I was actually going along with what Dessi was saying, that I was thinking this was going to be a finch that was calling. I like Dessi was expecting to hear some more 3-note phrases in this rather than 2-note phrases. But the finches have confused me with or have had me confused with vireos before. So I don't exactly know. So that's all I'm gonna say, and we'll find out what it looked like.
What was it, Mark?
So, well, this was Lance's recording, and
Oh.
Lance tells us that on his recording in Xenocanto that this was a Plumbeous vireo.
And here's the
Staic
poll.
Okay.
in March, and the poll has
So nobody voted for Purple Finch except for 2 panelists. Okay.
more people voted for Mallard than Purple Finch. Yeah, it's a really weird sounding quack. Well, this was all of these very
Mark, again, you're kind of breaking
We're
up.
losing you, Mark.
Yeah, we're losing you. Well, allow me to I'm going to stop the share, and I want to thank our 3 expert panelists, Dessi Sieburth, Jon Feenstra, and Kimball Garrett. It was absolutely wonderful. Thank you guys very much. And a big thank you to Mark Scheel for setting all of this up. It took a lot of effort, and we really appreciate it. I wanted to thank Susan and Frank Gilland. Frank, can you come on and just tell us what our next webinar looks like?
Yes, the next webinar is in first Tuesday in January, and it's going to be Ryan Terrell talking about some of his research on the role of molt in bird evolution, based on some of his PhD dissertation work.
Fantastic. And with that, from all of Los Angeles Birders, I want to wish everyone happy holidays, safe holidays. Please stay masked, and when you go out birding, stay separate. Anything else from our panelists or Mark?
just thank you, everybody, and
No?
I think this was a big success. Thank you to our
Great.
panelists, and these were very difficult. So anybody who's worried about, oh, I missed a lot of those, these were very hard quiz birds.
Absolutely. I didn't get a single one, except for the Mallard one. I got that one.
Okay.
Anyways, thank you again to everyone. I really appreciate it. And have a happy holidays and New Year, and we'll see you at the January webinar. Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Thank you.